Oh my goodness, you guys. If you guys could stop leaving me good comments, I would really appreciate it. So no sooner than I finished the video that I did on white discrimination versus black discrimination, no sooner than I ended the video, did one of you leave me a comment. And I'm going to screen share and I'm going to show this comment. Did one of you guys show me a comment or write me a comment about African spirituality and homosexuality? And so MrPeeples left the comment, this video shows African traditional saying gay is just dual spirits. And then he left a link to the video. We're going to watch the video. I actually responded to him a couple of times. The first time, I'll get into what I said, but I was a little suspect about it. So I went and I watched the video because when you guys leave me links, y'all, I do go watch the links. I went and I watched the video, and I basically, like halfway through watching it, after the woman had talked, I left him a comment. I was like, well, basically, she said it was not normal. It wasn't normalized. They would be ostracized in the community. They generally lived off outside of the community, and they were still expected to reproduce. Oh my gosh, I had a lot of feelings of distrust with this interview. Then when the man started talking, he was like, I basically can't speak on this because I'm in the middle of a lawsuit. But he obviously wasn't really in agreement with the woman, but he was limited as to what he could say. And the woman was kind of mean mugging him. And then it occurred to me after a full 20-minute interview that 10 minutes of this interview was dedicated to homosexuality, even though the title deceptively said that it was dealing with African spirituality. And that got me thinking, whoa, something is not right here. Who owns this television station? This seems like a setup. I see these are black people. I see they all have kinky hair. I see they're all talking with African accents and but something about this is very fishy. So I looked up the company that was broadcasting the program and who owns the company. And it gets really deep. And this is why I say that we cannot be fooled by a black face. We're going to watch the clip that he left, but y'all, we cannot be fooled by black faces. Just because somebody with a black face pops the hell up and says something, I don't care if they have the kinkiest hair on the block. I don't care how chocolate they are. I don't care if they're talking with an African accent. I don't care. We have to be suspect about any black representation we see on television because we do not own the media globally. And this is a prime example of a setup of white people pushing their agenda with black faces. And Margaret Sanger, she spoke about this. She was like, in the community, if we want to reach black people, they don't really trust the white doctors. So we indoctrinate black doctors and we let them do the work because black people trust other black people. Just straight up. So MrPeeples left his comment in all good faith, but I'm an investigator, y'all. When some mess doesn't seem right to me, I start digging and investigating and seeing who is behind the broadcasting. And let me say, this gets very deep to where there was a lawsuit and a black employee who left the company, a high-ranking black employee who left the company when she was told that her media would be controlled. And there was a limit to how much free reporting that she could do. This gets very deep. So with that said, let's go ahead and first watch the video. I'm going to give my commentary on what is being said there. Remember, this whole thing was rubbing me the wrong way when I was watching it. And then when it mostly ended up being about gay people, because, black people, we're not about to go and just cape for gay people for long periods of time without a white person being involved somewhere, somehow. That made me really suspect. And so I'm going to go with you through my investigatory process. I'm going to show you all of the receipts, and I'm going to double down on what I said before, which is gayness and the acceptance thereof is something that white people do, just period. And that we need to be very, very careful about who and what we see in media, because let's be clear, we don't own the media, and there's almost always a white person behind any major media production. And this case is no different. So I want to thank MrPeeples for leaving that link. Like, really, really, thank you so much. I really appreciate it. If I'm gonna need you guys to leave me comments that are a little less amazing, because y'all have me on here delaying my breakfast because I started playing Inspector Gadget and trying to dig behind what I was seeing there, because I just was blown away and I couldn't believe it. And I just knew something was wrong. So, you know, I had to investigate and find out why these Black people were up there talking about homosexuality for 10 minutes straight on a Black spiritualism front. Okay, so let's get to the clip. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to play it here.
And then there's an aspect of same-sex couples within the space. What is your opinion on it? What is your take on that?
So for me, my understanding, and which is also very, I don't think it's easy for a lot of people to accept, but same-sex or homosexuality is not something new.
Okay, so I think it's interesting. She says it's hard for a lot of people to accept, because let's be real. Let's just be real. If something is very, very normal in a community, it's not going to be hard for anybody to accept. Like, if this is just ingrained in our culture, it's not going to be hard for us to accept it. So the fact that she has to give this caveat, that was my first like red flag. I was like, why are you giving this caveat? Because this is either some stuff that we do or this is some stuff that we don't do, and therefore it makes people uncomfortable.
Culture. It has just been dealt in a different way. It was not something that was brought to the forefront, and there's a lot of secrecy, obviously, in some spaces. But it was always found out, for example, when a young woman or a young man went to their initiation and found out, okay, you are made in this way. They would say perhaps that you have dual spirituality.
So I want you to note the speaker, because when I was on O'Shea Du Jackson's, when I did Is the Black Community, like, is homophobia holding us back? I said that Black women they cape for gay men. There's a Black woman that's willing to sit there and co-sign this gay male crap all day, every day. And here we have a Black woman, African Black woman, sitting there, and she's trying to make a case for homosexuality. Now, I want you to watch the body posture of the Black man sitting next to her as she does all of this jibber jabbering that she does. Remember, she had to start off with the caveat that you may not believe this, is hard for people to accept. Da 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 da.
Or, do you understand? Not necessarily even that you have to go in twasa, but that your feminine energy is more prominent or your masculine energy is more prominent. And then, but there was always in terms of the community of the African people that you must produce offspring. That was the.
So she's saying that there could be people like men with high feminine energy, women with high masculine energy, but in the Black community, producing offspring was first and foremost.
Requirement. You must have a lineage that takes the name and such, and those are the things that were not compromised. What you do in your private life, that was not a thing that.
So then she goes on to say, you keep stuff private. If you were gay, you better have some kids, and whatever stuff you want to do, you keep it private. But see, this is a segue. Listen to what's happening here. And when you guys see the white people that are behind this programming, you'll understand why she's approaching it this way. See, Black people, we don't like gays. Right? There's a big kick for African spirituality, which I have a problem with the term African spirituality, because Africa is a continent with many countries, and the religious practices of those countries are not uniform throughout all Africa. All right. So that's like saying somebody is African instead of saying they're, from Ghana or they're from Egypt. Right? So I have a problem with the term at all. But see, these white people know that we're trying to get away from their religion. So check it. There are white people who are responsible for this programming. And they have had a Black woman come up here and go, oh, Black people were into, so they started this programming off by saying Black people weren't going to be told what they, the second half of the program, trying to justify homosexuality in the Black community. See, that's why I knew this was some shady crap. But we're going to listen to this, and I'm going to show you that white people are behind this. Like, this woman is sitting here, and she's literally just painting a picture in a way that will be palatable to Black people to embrace a white ideology.
That was brought to the fore. And in fact, more often than not, you find those people would live then with the sangomas, so that because the sangoma understands your life and your lifestyle and protects you in that way, so that you're not engaging with the community at large to be ridiculed or to be questioned or to be...
Check it. They have to live separately. In one hand, she's trying to say, this has always been here and it's fine and it's just dual spirits, which one of those spirits is a demon, okay? It's just dual spirits and all this. In the second breath, she's like, the community would ostracize them, question them, discriminate against them, so they don't live with the community and they keep their stuff private. See, and this is what I'm talking about. This is how, and I'm going to tell you something. Everybody's not Christian, but I'm going to tell you how the devil works. And the devil could be white people to you. It could be whatever. I'm going to tell you how the devil works. The devil works the same way you lying works. You know how when people tell lies, the lies have a little sprinkle, sprackle of truth? Because you can identify with the truth in a lie. And then that makes the lie more palatable. So here we have this woman, head wrap, African, African accent and all, sprinkling in a little truth to push a white homosexual agenda. And I'm going to prove that she's pushing a white homosexual agenda and being guided by white people. Like, white people set this up with two Black faces, just like Margaret Sanger said. Just put a Black face in front of them and they'll believe anything. We train the Black people to talk to the other Black people and they'll believe anything because we're fooled by everybody with a Black face.
Be that, but that the sangoma is the one who understands the spirituality behind that. With that said, it becomes for me difficult to have to say that it means that every single gay person or, or anybody in the LGBTQ community is particularly spiritual in the way that they have to be a sangoma or that they're recognized in that way. But there was always an understanding of energy in terms of your feminine and your masculine, and that both can reside within you, one more than another, regardless of what your genitalia is, So for me, it translates in that way. And for spirituality is for me a science. I do look at it in that way. It is one of the first knowledge systems that Africans created and put on this world.
Right. But so Joshua, I want to get your thoughts on that. But before that, can we just play this clip for our viewers? Let's take a look and see.
For me, the grandest thing about being...
I'm sorry, this whole visual pisses me off. Like, this visual right here, it angers me to no point. Like, I'm actually pissed off looking at these two little boys right now. I'm going to try to relax, but I'm literally angry looking at this picture that we're looking at.
In a relationship, Nokoko is like, it's beyond love. It's beyond a relationship because our ancestors get along, first of all. So spiritually, we're incredibly compatible, aligned, we're very spiritually aligned, which then makes everything else fall into place, which makes the physical and the emotional easier. It's never easy, but it just makes it work. It makes it click. Like, there is no question in my mind that I'm going to spend the rest of my life with this woman.
But Joshua, should we even be questioning it?
I'm not at liberty.
Okay, so first of all, did you guys look at his whole attitude when she was talking? His whole demeanor when she was talking, he was just like over it. Look at him. I just want to back it up. What? Watch his demeanor.
More than another, regardless of what your
He's rolling his eyes. Y'all, he's rolling his eyes. He's rubbing his face. He's like, oh, the freaking hell, right? I don't want to be up here contradicting this woman. So let's get to what he has to say about it.
But Joshua, should we even be questioning it?
Wait, why was he not even looking? When she started asking the question, he was looking off to the side. He was like, I'm done with the whole conversation.
But Joshua, should we even be questioning it?
I'm not at liberty to be so liberal on this subject. I have a pending case right now in one of the constitutional courts on this subject matter. However, the issue of maleness and femaleness of people, the young, the yin and the yang, the positive and the negative, the duality of life in its very.
And this is killing me because yin and yang is like, come on, now we're moving into some Eastern. I'm telling you, this is white people stuff. They've gone into Eastern religion. I thought we were talking about African spirituality. And they've like segued off into Eastern religion, which is just a white perversion of African spirituality.
This sense allows me as a theologian and a social observer to say, over and above entertainment and social mispositions of genetic nature, there is function which builds a community together. There is function that has allowed even the people of defect, so to speak, and I want to put that selectively so, or different sort of disposition, to be also given an opportunity to survive. They are human beings as we are. But when it comes to the basic rule of function, there is no production, as he rightfully put it. There's nothing that has come out of those relationships that takes a generation forward. So are families functional? Are human beings functional? Or they've become a dead end? So when you look at it.
So he's basically calling gay people a dead end in a very nice way. Well, he used the word dead end. So he said, are people functional? Are the families functional? Like, if it doesn't make sense, it doesn't make sense, right? If you can't make babies, then that's a dead end, is what he's saying in the nicest of terms. And you should watch her face while he's talking, because she's not the most thrilled that she's ever been. And her body language says, I'm closed off from this conversation.
The relationship of that nature just becomes solely a spiritual nature, and the spirituality has become so active to such an extent.
Her eyeballs are throwing darts, y'all. She's like shooting him in the head with all her mental darts.
That all other functions of longevity, posterity, and etc. have been brought to a standstill. Will the society allow this person to go on extinct on the basis of spirituality? Or society has always been struggling to realign people towards continuity of themselves into the next generation. But however, with the amount of democracy that we have now and the amount of freedom that we have in terms of expression, people are free to explore. And by the way, to explore other forms of lifestyle. I'm not going to have a problem with what she's saying, actually, where people, this is a spiritual connection. I have a problem with the commercial ones who are here today and they're there tomorrow, and they're there.
So he's saying being gay is a trend, is what he's saying. He's saying being gay is a trend, and I'm not going to step on this sister's toes. There may be a random man born with feminine energy, but what we're seeing now is people are exploring their sexuality. These aren't all spiritual people walking around. You know, that's not what's going on, because that wouldn't make sense. How are we all going to procreate if large portions of the population want to bump vaginas or put their penises in somebody's rectum? Like, that cannot work.
The other day, and then they get pregnant, and and the relationships fail, and then finally they're ending up and says, "No, I have a colleague." So it looks like also.
I mean, I can't be mad at him. He's saying it's going to be confusion. You're going to have women saying they're gay, then they get pregnant because that relationship didn't work. Then they are back to being gay, raising kids in a gay household, but they have full-on babies that they gave birth to. It's just a lot of confusion and stuff that makes no sense. And she literally looks like she could slap him right now. Like, the look on her face is flipping priceless, y'all.
Society, our youth, particularly in the quest of looking for their identity, they are now exploring spirituality. And I beg to be corrected by the spiritualists, but I think the quality of the spirit that you attract to yourself.
I'm mad. He said, I beg to be corrected by this spiritualist. Like, go ahead and correct me if you want, woman. But I'm telling you, like, Black women, we have to stop co-signing these gay people. Okay, we'll be the main ones, being friends with them, helping them pick out outfits, teaching them how to do their makeup, sitting there on a public forum talking about they just have extra feminine energy and it's okay. Like, we need to stop. Okay, we need to stop helping them. We're not helping them by aiding them in their debauchery.
And the sex of that spirit somehow overrides even your physicality, so that you might and all of a sudden it totally becomes feminine. I know some few guys who totally become feminine. So
Okay, we're gonna stop here. So look at this. This is a 20-minute program, and it's supposedly on African spirituality, but they spend half of the program trying to convince Black people that somehow homosexuality is a part of Blackness. So that's a very sleight of hand. African spirituality has nothing to do with people putting their penises in other men's anuses. Like, really? Like, that completely pisses me off. So I was looking at this whole thing sideways. So I went and I looked up ENCA, which is the broadcasting company that put this out. So I looked up ENCA. This is their website. Okay. This is their website. Look at all these Black people. Oh, it looks like it's for us. Black, blackity black, some more Black people, even more Black people. It's just Black people everywhere, right? It looks like it's all for us. Look at Black people. We have a whole channel. So I go down and copyright 2018 ENCA and E Media Holdings Company. So I needed to know who owned E Media Holdings, right? This is important. Well, I needed to know who owned ENCA, the people that put on that broadcasting. And let's just go to the About Us section before we go to E Media Holdings website, because we're going to get to the bottom of this crap. Why a bunch of Black people are caping for gay people. So we go to their About Us page, and normally on the About Us page, we can get into things like, let's see if we can find it. Normally, we should be able to see like the CEO and stuff like that. Like, we should go to About, and we should be able to see people, right? But we can't. And there's a reason for that. So we're going to go to E Media Holdings, because ENCA, the programming that we just watched, is an E Media Holdings company. So let's go over to E Media Holdings. This is E Media Holdings website, and we're looking at their leadership. And who is their chairman? John Copelyn. John Copelyn is like stupid rich, and he's got his hands in a whole lot of Black media pockets. I'm about to expose this in just a minute. And he's actually been involved in lawsuits over controlling the media on his news outlets. That's right. That's right. And then we look under him. The CEO is a white Indian person. Here we go with white Indian. And mind you, these are companies from South Africa. So we know how South Africa rolls, right? We know what's up in South Africa. And this is why I'm saying, I'm so glad that that brother left me the link, and he left that link in all honesty, because he saw Black so-called spiritual people talking about it, a full-on Black woman up there co-signing gayness, a Black man who's in the middle of a lawsuit who had to kind of very nicely put her in her place. And Black people will see that, and they will think, oh, okay, well, maybe gayness is a part of this. But what they're not recognizing is that there are white people behind this crap. Like I said, they're going to push their freaky backward ass agenda any way they can. And we know from the eugenics era that they will use a Black face to fool us, because every time we see a Black face, and don't let the Black person be in a dashiki. Don't let the Black person be wearing a head wrap. Don't let the Black person be talking with an African accent. Oh, hell, then that we know that's a reliable damn source. We can't question anything at that point. Right? We cannot question anything at that point. So we just see a bunch of white Indians and white people. And then finally we get down to the non-executive level, and we finally see a couple Black people. Okay? But this guy right here, John Anthony Copelyn, that's who we're going to focus on. The big wig who was involved in lawsuits because he only allows certain programming on his news outlets. So when we go down for E-Media Holdings is basically owned by John Anthony Copelyn, and their parent company is HCI Hoskin. Okay? It's HCI Hoskin. And we see him here again with his white Indian counterparts. And then, of course, way at the bottom is a black person, because they always need a black face somewhere. But these are his white Indian counterparts, and we see John Anthony Copelyn again. Now, you're going to go, well, Irene, okay, so what does this all mean? Well, let's look at John Anthony Copelyn's executive profile, all right? And then we're going to look at the story of a black woman who quit working for his media outlets because he wanted to control the media, because he's making money on the back end in some of his other ventures, and he doesn't want certain types of media out. In other words, there will never be a program on any of his channels condemning homosexuality. And this is what I'm talking about, is that we have to really vet the sources, because when I first saw that interview, it rubbed me 8 ways wrong. Like, I felt very bristled and very uncomfortable watching that. And I felt more uncomfortable knowing other black people will watch that, see these dashiki wearing, head wrapped African people co-signing homosexuality and just believe it, because everybody is not suspicious like me. I'm a suspicious person. Okay, I don't trust any damn body. And I don't watch TV because I don't trust anything on TV. I don't trust any celebrity. I don't trust any newscast. I don't trust any of these people, y'all. I don't trust any of them. None of them. I think they're all liars. I think they're all on the payroll. So I'm the sort of person, I start investigating crap. I really do. Like, if you send me a video clip, I'm going to dissect that, and I'm going to research every person in the clip. I mean, we don't even have the time today, but I was going to go into the lawsuit that man is involved in, and the shenanigans that woman is involved in. You know, I'm an investigator. I'm checking everybody out. But I thought for the purposes of this live, it would be sufficient just to show you that a white man who controls the content on his media outlets is behind this. And I'm going to prove to you that he personally controls everything on his media outlets. He's very, very involved and has personal conversations with people when they try to put stuff out on his media outlets that he doesn't like. He talks to them personally. He's a control freak. So John Anthony Copelyn is a business person who has been at the head of 13 different companies and presently holds the position as chairman at Hospitality Property Fund Ltd. He owns casinos, y'all. He owns television outlets. This man owns everything. Non-executive chairman for Montauk Holdings Ltd, non-executive chairman for ETV, non-executive chairman for Sogo Sun Holdings, chief executive officer, and executive director at Hoskin Consolidated Investments. You know, the people responsible for that crap we just watched with the black people co-signing homosexuality. Non-executive chairman for Sabido Investments, non-executive chairman for Deneb Investments Ltd. These are all African companies. Non-executive chairman for E-Media Holdings, the company that directly put out that program and refused to show us their chair people on their site. He is, and you know why they refuse to show us? Because wouldn't it be weird if you went to that blackity blackified site and saw a white dude? Wouldn't that be weird? And yet, he is a high-ranking official because he basically runs that crap. And it just goes on and on and on, but it gets deeper. In his past career, Mr. Copelyn held the position of Member of Parliament of South Africa. No way. You mean horrible, racist, apartheid South Africa? He was a Member of Parliament and secretary and director at the Southern African Clothing and Textile Workers Union. No way. You mean that when Black First Land First when that fat white guy was threatening to sick his private army from the textile industry on the Black first, land first people and kill Black people, that this white man had stock in that industry? Oh, this is the person behind that little clip we just watched, y'all. This is why we have to do our investigating and have our ear to the ground and not get caught up in every little Black face that we see. You hear what I'm saying? You hear what I'm saying? Because as in Parliament in South Africa, whether he was functioning during the apartheid, because this is an old man, or he was functioning afterward to withhold Black land, when he has his hands in the textile industry, which threatened to sick a private army on the Africans if they dared to try to step on their toes, to the point where Black first, land first was like, their leader was like, for every one Black person you kill, we'll kill 7 of yours. This white fool, his hand is deep in that industry. He's friends with that fat bastard who wanted to sick a private army on Black people who want their damn land back. And he is behind the programming we just watched, where we had a Black woman co-signing a white movement for homosexuality. And this is why we really have to pay attention. But if you don't believe me that he personally controls the media on his media companies, let's go to Bloomberg. Can we all agree that Bloomberg is the white people's fun storytelling outlet? Like, they tell all the business, because, you know, Black people, we don't read anything on Bloomberg, right? If Bloomberg is putting it out, I mean, we will read from every news outlet, but there are some news outlets that we just don't mess with collectively, right? So I'm gonna skip through this. I'm gonna skip through this a little bit, but it's titled Former Executive Lifts Lid on E-News TV. She's a whistleblower. This is from 2014 at 8 a.m. Bloomberg Press. Okay, and I'm gonna skip ahead in this. Keen Young. She talks about this man that we're talking about, Copelyn. Okay? Copelyn also tried to make Keen Young leave the company after she resisted attempts from Hoskin director Yunus Shaikh, or whatever his name is, you know, a white Indian, to influence news coverage, she said. Copelyn doesn't tell you that he told me that the line of editorial independence was not one for the news editorial team to determine. Let me repeat that, so that I don't want people to think I'm making it up, that this man personally steps in and controls the media on the many news outlets that he has, including the clip that we just watched, that is pushing a white Euro agenda for pro-homosexuality. And you know how much they like little Black boys. So I'm not surprised. The same pig that's in bed with that fat jerk who threatened to sick a private army to kill Black people, to the point where he had to be threatened that if he laid a hand on even one Black person, 7 white people would be killed, and their dogs, and their kids, and their men, and their women. If you guys remember, I posted that speech. This man is all tied up in a bunch of mess. And he's got casinos and all of this stuff. And he's responsible for the programming we just watched. So let's go back to what she said, because I think that this is very important. Copelyn also tried to make Keen Young leave the company. Why did he want her out? After she resisted attempts from Hoskin director Yunus Shaikh to influence news coverage. Copelyn doesn't tell you that he told me that the line of editorial independence was not one for the news editorial team to determine. She wrote in the letter that the line would be determined by HCI. Who determines the line of what they air? HCI. Who does not determine the line? The editorial team. I'm not going to read this whole thing, but I just wanted to comment on this. And y'all, if you guys stop leaving me amazing comments and stop giving me links to crap, I will stop making lives. Okay. I don't need to do 5 lives a day. If you guys could just not be so inspirational, because you really are an inspiration to me. Because y'all, I would have never looked into this. I would have never, ever, ever, ever looked into this had that brother not left me that comment on my video that I did this morning. And it not rubbed me the wrong way when I saw that footage. I was like, something ain't right here. And I started to investigate. And this is the rabbit hole that it took me down. I had no idea, y'all. I had no idea. I just knew that it wasn't right. The minute I saw a Black woman in a dashiki promoting homosexuality and 2 little Black boys with makeup on, I knew that stuff had to do with white people. Like, I just knew it. I could have been wrong, but when I went to research it, it comes all down to this one individual. And let's go back. Let's take a look at him one more time. John Anthony Copelyn. And I showed you guys how I got to him. It didn't take me long, okay? Because he is in direct control over ENCA, who put this crap out. And so with that said, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to get out of here. Like, I'm not trying to be on here forever. You know, I'm not trying to be on here forever, but I just wanted to show that there's no media that is safe. Black people don't own media, white people do. So when you see a Black person co-signing some clearly white crap on a major media network, I don't care what they're wearing. I don't care how Black they are. I don't care if they throw the word African spirituality around. I don't care if they have the dopest dashiki in the world. Screw that. We need to have a radar. You know how people say, I have gaydar? Have white-dar. Have a radar for whiteness when you perceive whiteness. And that's what I had, y'all, because as soon as I saw this stuff, I knew this had nothing to do with Black people. Like, as soon as I heard this, I knew that I was looking at a pond. And I knew that they had been placed there simply because they are Black and Black people trust Black people. And when you throw in a head wrap and some African spirituality and an African accent, all of a sudden it adds all this validity to the fuckery. But they're going to need to do a whole lot more than that to fool me, okay? Because I'm an investigator, and I advise we all be investigators, especially when there's a Black face attached to it. Like, especially when there's a Black face attached to it. There aren't many areas where Black people and white people align in their ideologies. So when a Black person just pops up, just trying to make a whole white idea sound like it has something to do with Blackness and Black spirituality at that, we need to be side-eyeing that hard. We should never take that for granted. And so, like I said, I thank the brother who brought this to my attention. Hold on, let me go ahead and come out of here. I'm not going to keep you guys here all day, but long story short, no. Okay, long story short, no. No, 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 and no. And we're not going to let this one controlling white dude, and I'll put links to everything in the description box as soon as I get off of here. I'll put links to the video. I'll put links to the company that put the video out, their website. I'll put links to the company that owns them because, you know, they didn't want to show that that white man was the executive. I'm going to put links to it all. And I'll put links to the Bloomberg report. And heck, we could come back on this sister that was on there and what she's all up into. The little shenanigans she gets up to, calling herself an African spiritualist. And we could get into the lawsuit that that brother is involved in. But everything with a Black face is not legit. I don't care, African accent, what the heck they're representing. We go too much on appearance. We go way too much on appearance. The most legit guy there was the dude. And because he didn't want to trample all over her, she looked like he was gonna really get beat down by her. He was being acquiescent in some areas. But see, we cannot, and this goes back to the live I did earlier, we cannot with this. We don't have to accept this. There is a reason why these people are ostracized in our community, and it's because it is not acceptable. The fact that gay people pop up every now and again doesn't negate the fact that Black people don't accept that crap. And at the very least, they better keep it secret. But in any way, shape, or form, try to equate the fact that there were some gay people in Black society to what white people do, which is just have a whole darn culture of gayness. I mean, that's a sleight of hand. We're not going to let them. We're not going to let them do this. We're not going to do that. Especially not when they're being controlled by a white man who personally fires people when they try to publish media that he has not approved. Especially when he's friends with a man that threatens to sick private armies on Black people and kill them. This is all a circle. See, these white people are all connected. They really are. These elite whites, they're all connected. Yeah, thank you to the brother that gave me the link. So with that said, I will talk to you guys later. And okay, y'all are gonna see me again. I was gonna do the thing on the disappearing Black man today, but y'all just have to see me tomorrow. Because I don't know how many lives we really need in a day. I think 2 is good. I'll talk to you guys later. Bye-bye.